Welcome to a new Bitcoin Books video. Okay, let's dive into a really provocative book today, The Sovereign Individual. This thing maps out a future that, back when it was written, sounded like total science fiction. But now? Well, now it feels kinda eerily familiar.
And that's the first thing you really need to get your head around. This book is not some recent hot take. We're talking about something published way back in 1997. I mean, think about it. That's long before most of the tech that runs our lives today even hit the mainstream.
And what's just absolutely wild is how spot on these predictions were. The authors literally saw a future where, the power of government starts to fade, a totally new kind of private digital money pops up, and this new class of super powerful people emerges who aren't tied to any one country.
Does any of that sound familiar?
Yeah, I thought so.
So the big question is, how in the world did they see all this coming? What was the logic behind it all? And maybe more importantly, what does their framework say is going to happen next? Let's get into it.
Okay, so the core idea of the book, the central thesis, is this. We are smack in the middle of a massive, monumental shift in human history. They call it a phase change, and it's just as big as, say, when we went from hunting and gathering to farming, or from farming to the Industrial Revolution. We are now, they argue, entering the fourth stage, the information age. And this slide, wow, it really puts the sheer scale of this change into perspective. Just look at how time gets compressed. Hunting and gathering? Millennia. Agriculture? Thousands of years. Industry? A few centuries. But the information revolution? The authors say this is all happening within a single lifetime. The speed is it's completely unprecedented. Nothing like it has ever happened before.
So what's the engine driving this whole revolution? Well, the book calls it a change in the logic of violence. Now, this is a really core idea, so stick with me. This isn't about what's right or wrong or about politics. It's about something much more fundamental, the raw cost and the rewards of using force and projecting power. And to really get this, we've got to talk about a concept they call megapolitics. The easiest way to think about it is it's the invisible physics that shapes history. You know these huge, hidden forces like geography, climate, and especially technology? They're the things that quietly decide which kinds of societies can even exist, whether it's tribes or huge empires or modern nation-states.
And right now, the key megapolitical shift is, you guessed it, technology. It has completely flipped the script on the balance of power. Think about it. In the industrial age, tech like gunpowder was perfect for big, centralized states with huge armies. But now, in the information age, tech like strong encryption and cyber money, well, that empowers small groups, even single individuals. It just makes it so much harder for those big governments to keep control.
So what does all this mean for the single most powerful institution to come out of the industrial age? I'm talking about the nation-state. Well, according to this book, it means the nation-state is heading straight for a terminal crisis. It's an old model. It's just not built to survive in this new world.
And the authors are quick to point out, hey, this isn't the first time this has happened, not by a long shot. They look back at history, you see the fall of the Roman Empire, which just got too big to control. You see the decline of the medieval church, whose total control over information got completely shattered by the printing press. They're basically saying the nation-state is just the next domino to fall in that same pattern.
The biggest threat today, though, is all about money. It's fiscal. The book has this amazing quote, "Soon the cows will have wings." It's a metaphor, right? Back in agricultural age, wealth was tied to the land. It was the cows, the crops. You couldn't exactly hide a field. But today in the information age, wealth is digital. It's just bits and bytes. It has no physical location. It can literally fly anywhere on the planet with the click of a mouse.
And that metaphor leads to a pretty shocking prediction about the government's ability to tax its most productive citizens. The book projects that governments could lose as much as 70% of their ability to tax. Why? Because their main tax base, the capital owned by the wealthy and productive, is just going to pack its bags and fly away to places where it's treated better. So if that happens, this huge fiscal crisis leads to two pretty inevitable outcomes, according to the book. First, the welfare state as we know it, with all those trillions in promises for things like pensions and healthcare, it just goes broke. The math doesn't work anymore once the tax base disappears. And second, the glue that holds big, diverse countries together just dissolves. You start to see more and more movements for secession, with regions wanting to break away.
Okay, so if the nation-state is on its way out, who or what rises up to take its place? Well, this brings us right to the title of the book, The Rise of the Sovereign Individual. This is the new elite of the information age, and they aren't defined by what passport they hold, but by their skills, their talent, and their ability to move. The book is actually pretty clear on who these people are. They're the cognitive elite. Think about the top creators, the smartest investors, the most brilliant innovators, the people who can use technology to live and work from literally anywhere on the globe. Their loyalty, it's not to some flag or a country, it's to their projects, their networks, and themselves.
And this changes everything about the relationship between a person and their government. It's a total paradigm shift. You stop being a citizen, an asset that the state owns, subject to whatever taxes and laws it dreams up. Instead, you become a customer. You literally shop around for governments, or as the book calls them, governance services. You pick the one that gives you the best deal on security and has the lowest costs, just like you'd shop for car insurance.
Now, this whole new reality is only possible because of a new place to do business, built on a totally new kind of money. The book calls it the cyber economy. And it's not someplace you drive to on an information superhighway. No, it is the place. It's the realm where wealth is created, where it's traded, and it exists completely outside of physical borders.
And the beating heart of this new economy is private, denationalized cyber money. The authors describe it almost prophetically as being like encrypted prime numbers. Basically, it's a type of money that governments can't just print out of thin air. And if they can't print it, they can't devalue it through inflation. This completely takes away one of the biggest tools they've used to quietly take wealth from people for centuries. But here's the thing. The book gives a pretty stark warning. This shift from the old world to the new, it's not going to be peaceful. When a huge power structure like the modern nation-state starts to decay, things get chaotic. They get dangerous. And the book argues we are living right in the middle of that, what it calls the transition crisis. So, as this old order starts to crumble, the book predicts a huge wave of instability. First, as the government's grip on power loosens, you'll see organized crime rush in to fill the vacuum. At the same time, as the system rots from the inside, political corruption will just run rampant. And then there are the people who get left behind by all this change. They might react with a violent backlash against technology itself, a sort of neo-Luddite movement. And make no mistake, the people who lose power in this transition, especially the political class, they're not just going to sit back and watch it happen. The book predicts they'll react with hostility. You'll see a surge in nationalism, politicians whipping up fear, and maybe even attacks on technology and this new global elite. Governments are going to fight tooth and nail with everything they've got. Desperate measures like exit taxes to stop their tax base from escaping.
So what this all boils down to is a really fundamental choice that every single one of us has to make. These massive, mega-political forces are already in motion, and according to the authors, the final outcome isn't really up for debate. The only question left is, what are you going to do about it? How will you position yourself for what's coming next?
For those who want to learn more, the link to purchase the book is available in the video description. If you found this content interesting, please subscribe to the channel and like it to help us reach as many people as possible. Thank you.